Hi and welcome to this new tutorial, and today I will try to reproduce another effect again of Sean Zelmer, which is this one, and I'm going to do this but only on the cube or on the ball, for instance, or on one of the geometry, and then you just get out this kind of effect can be done on Smode. So let's try, because I like checkerboard. So let's try to let's first create a new composition with a camera and a material bank, because we are going to use this feature. And let's remain in sRGB gamma value. So first, in the material bank, I will create a renderer, which will be a surface renderer, that I will call checker. Okay, which will be the checkerboard, and I will put a checkerboard map into it. So now let's create a plane, and let's lock the camera because we don't want that to move now. And let's create a vertical plane and let it take all of the screen. The size does not matter that much. Okay, this is fine. Let's change a little bit the checkerboard. Okay, on the example we are on a square composition. Let's try to do that in a square composition. Okay, like that, and adjust the plane. Okay, this should be fine, maybe a little more stripes. Okay, let's do something like that. Okay, so we have the plane, and let's put this surface with the auto illumination at 100%. And now let's create a box, so 3D layer box. Okay, now I have my box in the middle of my my plane. The issue is that the texture does not match, of course. So what we are going to do is to make them match, and to do that I will use on my box an attribute modifier, which is a UV camera mapping, and I will use the perspective camera as camera for the camera mapping. And you still see a slight difference here between my box, which is this one, and my plane. Why is that? It's because my plane is I adjusted to fit the screen, but it's quite not exactly the same size as the screen. So to be sure I have the same thing on my box and on my plane, I will duplicate my UV camera mapping with Control drag and drop over my plane, and now everything's fit. So now this work, but let's go in mixed view and see what is currently happening. So I have my mapping like that, but first you see that on the top of my box my mapping is not correct, because I'm currently using camera mapping, so camera that goes from my same camera, and that's why here my textures are a little bit deformed here, because they are mapped from the frustum, this pyramid here around my camera. So what I will need to do is not to use a camera mapping, but better use UV mapping. Orthographic mapping, sorry. So to do that, let's see the size of the plane, and let's put some more understandable values, like 4 by 4, and obviously this fits perfectly. And we are going to use attribute UV mapping, and let's put in the preset orthographic on the z-axis, which is the right axis, and let's put this mapping here at 4 meter by 4 meter, and let's put this orthographic mapping and put that on the plane as well. Okay, so now you see a little issue here, because my plane is rotated from 90 degrees, and now so is my orthographic mapping. So what I will need to do to fix this issue, it will be to put back my plane to 0 degree, and before my orthographic mapping I will use an distort modifier, 3D transform, and I will do my rotation with this 3D transform. And again, before my orthographic mapping. So now what I have is a plane here, which is rotated and then mapped on the correct direction. All right. Now you see another issue here is that I still have a difference here. It's because my camera is a perspective camera. So to have my box and my plane that fit exactly the same, what I will need to do, I do too much Control Z. Okay, what I will need to do instead of using a perspective camera, which will be to use the orthographic camera, which I can change directly here, orthographic, and let's put a 4x4 camera. Better to have a straight number like this. It's faster and easier to do some parameter of the scene. And now, as I have an orthographic camera, instead of using this orthographic mapping, what I can do is use back our good old camera mapping, because right now I do my mapping from my camera, which happen to be an orthographic camera. So in this way, everything's fit. So I did some back and forth because I'm searching also why I'm trying to reproduce this effect. And so it allows also to display several different techniques. So now what happens if I take my box and I move it like that with the rotation? You will see that, oh, nothing happened. Well, it happened in 3D space, but here I can see nothing because right now my mapping is made over my moving object. So what I will need to do is to move my object after I do the mapping. So if I put a distort 3D transform here, and let's do a little rotation here of my 3D transform, like that. Okay, here you see what's happening on the screen. It's first I map my object with the UV camera mapping, and then this already mapped object, I rotate it with my 3D transform. If I put the 3D transform before my UV camera mapping modifier, then first I do a rotation of my box, and after, on this already rotated box, I put the mapping. So it depends on what you want to achieve. Sometimes you want to place this modifier in this order, but in this case we need to have this kind of rotation. Now I will just create my small animation of the box over my 3D transform. So let's do a right click here to reset the default value. And let's create from the rotation expose as percentage parameter. Okay. Maybe instead of doing that, using a parameter bank to do my animation, I will create a new bank, animation bank, and inside this animation bank, I will do a right click and create a standalone timeline, which is not exactly the same as a main timeline created on a composition, but more as a queue that is similar to a timeline. So let's use this timeline and make like a 2 second or 1 second animation of the cube. So let's say it will be 2 seconds, 2 points, and select again my timeline. Okay, it's here. Let's zoom it here, or F to fit to screen, and let's animate the rotation and the scale of my box. I want to have the same at the beginning and at the end. Control C, Control V, and let's say that at the middle we go like that. Okay, and actually I don't want to have the same thing at the beginning and at the end, because actually at the end I want to have my full rotation. So let's go to the end, select this key, and let's say that it will make 1 turn in this axis, half turn in this axis, and quarter turn in this axis. Let's see how that works. That worked not well, because this one should be half a turn and this can remain okay, this one like that, and this one, let's put that back. Okay, seems alright. And now we have this little animation which is created, and I can play it here into a loop. So now if you want to do the same thing with any other geometry from this point on, it's quite trivial. So let's create a new object, like a sphere. Okay, let's deactivate the box. Okay, so I have my sphere here. I will just drag and drop my UV camera mapping, drag and drop my 3D transform, duplicate the animation of my 3D transform inside my timeline, and now I have my okay, pause, thank you, my sphere that does same kind of animation. Now let's do that with a torus. Torus here. Okay, let's do something like that. Same thing again. Duplicate of UV camera mapping, duplicate of 3D transform, and also the animation on the timeline. And now let's just change a little bit the timeline from 2 to, let's say, 8 seconds. Okay, and change this key here. So first this track here. Let's move it here. And actually I only did rotation animation, so maybe we can get rid of the scale animation for the sake of clarity. And now let's select all the key and do a shift to enlarge all my keys. And now I should have something. Okay, it's not the most beautiful thing in the world, but let's to change. Something is happening here in the torus because okay, because I have all my geometry displayed at the same time. Here I want one geometry, then the other, etc. So what I can do to fix this issue, let's make a pause. It's actually display one geometry or the other. So let's try to do like that. Okay, so the box will only be displayed during the box animation. The sphere will only be displayed during the sphere animation, and same goes for the torus. Okay, oof, and the torus is ugly. Let's change a little bit its thickness. Okay, now the other thing that happen is that currently my layers are colliding. So my plane is colliding with my torus. So, well, to adjust this, I have many different options that I can do. And first could be just put the plane a little bit further away and go back into the mode. Okay. Okay, this is my plane. Okay. And no more mixing. Yeah, well, then after that you can change a little bit the animation and do it more soft or anything, but basically that's how you can do this trick. And here, no, it's not. Yeah, maybe I can put some little bezier here with alt click on the keys. Well, it's three-dimensional value, so maybe this will not work very good like that. And this will require another animation tutorial, but there you have it. So hope you have enjoyed this tutorial, and see you next time. And as always, I will put the link in the description towards the work of Sean, and also to the Smode forum, in which you can save this composition, which I will save right now, not to lose it. Let's put it checker geometry. Okay, see you.